Mike Rianda, director and writer of The Mitchells versus the Machines. This movie was inspired by your own family. So was this always a story you wanted to tell?
Yeah, no, totally. I basically, I really love in movies when the characters are really specific and feel like lived in. And I'm not a very creative person, so I stole my family and sucked their life force out and put it on the screen. No, but it was really sort of like exciting to make a movie this personal, on sort of this big of a scale. Sort of like normally they don't let you make movies that aren't about X-Men, and this one is about my dad, who is definitely not an X-Man. And it was really cool just to see sort of people respond to it, as we were making it, and a lot of genius, artists and producers and everybody came on board, and they sort of like were able to sort of share their experiences, and sort of like instead of just being about my family, it became about kind of like all of our families. And like ultimately that even though and also just sort of seeing it, I really wanted to see a family on screen, that because I would watch like animated movies and the families would be like, I love you, honey, and then they'd like hug, and I was like, I don't understand these people. So I wanted to sort of show like an actual dysfunctional family, and sort of see try to have them work through their issues.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've worked on Gravity Falls, one of the best shows ever made. But this is your directorial debut. So, what was the biggest thing you learned as a first-time director?
Oh God, everything. No, I mean, I definitely think the biggest difference between TV and movies that I've found is that you so wonderfully get so much time to go over everything hundreds of times, and let all these like wonderful collaborators that sometimes when you're in TV you're like, I have no time, the world's on fire, and in a movie, it's like, hey, we got a couple years, what are you guys' ideas, and then you get to really sort of let the best idea win, and also just it was really wonderful because one of the on Gravity Falls, we were sort of like, how can we do something different visually? And sort of we did what we could at the time, but it was really nice, because we have so much time and we have access to all these like great artists and the team at ImageWorks, we were able to say, like, I had a box on the wall that was like, make the movie look like no movie has ever looked before. And I was like, how are we going to check this one off, man? And it was really wonderful to sort of like have everyone put their hands in, and we also sort of like got the team from Spider-Verse, who was so jacked. It was like getting the 98 Bulls or something. They were like, just got off the court and they're like, you're our coach now. And I'm like, what? Huh? But it was awesome because they were sort of like, we were pushing animation forward with Spider-Verse, like, let's keep going, and we had a lot of big ideas too. So it was really exciting, to sort of like take all of the tools that they made on Spider-Verse and kind of like bend them to make, it look more handmade and drawn and illustrative, and sort of, do things that hadn't been done before, but sort of in a way that fit our story, which is about like imperfect people, and we're able to see those like imperfections and like on every frame because we had so much time. So I mean, I would say make a movie, you'll get a lot of time, it'll be great.
Well, I do want to talk about the animation style because it is so innovative and unique, and it really does go back to your box of saying, like, do something that's never been done before, because I feel like in most animated movies, like the animation style is like uniform, like throughout. And this one is kind of like a mishmash of different styles, like with the Mitchells, like you said, like they're an imperfect, perfect family. So they're kind of like fun, messily drawn. And I know you guys took inspiration from like watercolors. And then you have the Posies, this like performative, perfect family, and the robots, and they're a lot more sleekly drawn. So what's this like? Can you talk about like your vision for just the style and how you guys use the technology to produce this?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's sort of because like everything is led by the story, and because like especially because like this is like from the perspective of this like creative 17-year-old girl. It was really nice to be able to sort of experiment because, we had that box on the wall that was just sort of like, well, let's do something crazy. but it wasn't until that we really found ways to make that work with the story that it actually made sense. Because like Katie is a filmmaker, and because, you know, any kid who's making films now has access to Photoshop and After Effects and all these programs that sort of like we might not have, and it all is like this big collage to them that they go like, oh, I'll just steal this from Google image search and I'll put this and I'll take this picture of my dog and I'll put it in the corner, you know. And it was really fun to be able to like take that kind of like film school energy and like actually infuse it into the movie instead of just having it in like the, you know, sometimes you see art of books and it's like kind of sad because you're like, oh, why did they make the movie look like that? So our goal was to make the art of book irrelevant. But it sells good stuff in it, so hey, buy it, guys out there, check it out. But yeah, so it was really just a challenge of sort of making the visuals match the story, and the like perfect robots were all symmetrical and straight and looked like they were out of a Stanley Kubrick movie, and the Mitchells were sort of like wobbly and like showed their imperfections on their sleeve. And we tried everything we could to sort of push the technology to accentuate that and not like eliminate it, because a lot of the computer wants to smooth things out and make them look perfect, and we had to teach the computer to draw like a person, which is like not easy. I've been told by the people who did it.
Is there like a kill code for just like for PAL, like, you know, to make them
Yeah,
draw
exactly,
like a human?
exactly. We plug in a drive and the computers at Sony Vancouver explode, and take their secrets with them. That's what happens if there's a leak.
Well, I want to go back to like what you mentioned before about like Katie using, you know, Photoshop and like all her social media pages, because it's contemporary in that way, but you guys also had to animate it, and obviously this animated features take a couple years, and there's always you know, updates just like we see in the movie to like apps and stuff. So did you guys have to, I guess, update, you know, your animations a lot for her, you know, her PAL book and like all that stuff?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think it's like because I grew up, you know, it's sort of like I'm like 37, I don't know, but I'm sort of like, oh yeah, cell phones look like this, and people are like, cell phones don't look like that anymore. So there's definitely like that element of it too, where that stuff is constantly evolving. Like what we were trying to do, and who knows, you know, time will tell, but what we're trying to do is sort of like make it feel classic yet understandable. Like, you know, it's like with sort of like if we used a meme or something, we try to use one that you could understand even if you didn't know the context of the original joke or something, just so that like anyone could understand it, you know. And the hope is that, you know, people in 20 years will watch it and everything will make sense to them. But you know, who knows, we'll see. Call me in 20 years.
I mean, it's still a very timely, it has very timely themes of, you know, the technology dependency and how, you know, we should dispose of that and connect with our families instead. But you know, I think one of the maybe surprises people might have when they watch this is they discover that Olivia Colman is the voice of PAL. And I think we all want to be an evil AI, you know. She's really great, and I understand you you asked her to do this before she won the Oscar, right? And then you thought like she might back out after she won.
Yeah, no, I when she was up for the Oscar, I was like hoping for her that she won it and hoping for us that she didn't, because I was like, well, she'll never agree to do this if you know, she has an Oscar. But God love her, she won the Oscar, and like the next week she's like, I'll do your movie. She was such a benefit. Like I really think she sort of like makes the whole movie like move up a letter grade in quality. Like as soon as we put her voice in there, like all of a sudden the villain was scary and funny. And also every time we recorded with her, someone in the room, and this is not an exaggeration, I swear to God, this happened like 5 to 6 times, would quietly whisper, "Oh my God," to themselves because she was so good. Like, oh my God, she's incredible.
It's so like effortless too, right? She's like
Yes.
effortlessly funny, like effortlessly great. Yeah.
Well, and it's really nice for us because she sort of has a background in comedy, but she's also like one of our best actresses normal, you know, full stop. So it's like she could kind of do it all. It was we got very lucky.
Mhm. Well, one of the perks of being a director is you also get to cast yourself. You're the voice of Aaron, the little brother. So were you the only person who could play that role?
No, well, I don't know. I was the only person that we found to play it. I mean, we auditioned tons of people that were really wonderful. But for some reason, when we would put their voices in the movie, it didn't work as well. Sort of like audiences weren't as warmed to the character, and I think it might be because, like Aaron, my siblings are 10 years older than me, and they left for college when I was like 8 years old, and I was like, oh, where are you going? What? Huh? What? You're leaving me alone with mom and dad? So I understand the pathos of that character, I guess.
Can we see a sequel?
Hey, maybe at a certain freeze frame in the movie, Katie has written a bunch of sequel ideas in a frame. So if anybody wants to make one of those, I say go for it. I'm tired.
Netflix can do it. Come on.
Yeah.
We can get it going. So
I'll happily watch it.